Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tie a caddis emerger, which I call T's Wee Pupa. And in the vise I've got a TMC 2499 SPBL size 12 with about 6 to 8 wraps of 015 behind a black tungsten bead. I'm going to start this fly with some white 6/0 thread. Just going to build a little thread dam. And our first material on the fly is going to be Gray Ghost Krystal Flash. And I use this for the little bubble in the back. Wrap down about halfway around the bend. I'm going to raise this Krystal Flash straight up in the air. I'm just going to make a loop. I'm going to pinch wrap that in. Give it 1 or 2 loose wraps. Then we're going to go ahead and pull this Krystal Flash down. Wrap back up mid-shank. You can trim that material out of the fly. Our next material is going to be olive wee wool. And mount that in directly on top. Wrap back down to our bubble. And back up to mid-shank. Next material on the fly is going to be a brown D-rib. If you're going to be tying this in some smaller sizes, you can also use a brown micro tubing. Works just fine. I'm going to mount that in right alongside the shank. I'm just going to stretch that as I wrap back down to our bubble again. And then from here, we're just going to go ahead and build up a nice reverse tapered abdomen. Those caddis people get that really big bulbous body in the back. It's something you should definitely imitate when you're tying your caddis emergers and pupas. Slowly building that up. Okay. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and take and apply just a tiny little bit of super glue to the white thread. It's a little much. I'm going to take some of that off. I'm just going to take it and just work it all the way down the white thread. This happens to be a gel super glue, which I like to use. Then we're just going to go ahead and take and wrap our first material, which is the brown D-rib. A lot of people ask me here, what is the purpose of the white thread? Well, you can see as I'm wrapping this forward how that white just wants to come through that D-rib. If we're going to use a black thread under that D-rib, which I will switch to soon, it's going to really darken up that brown. It's actually going to almost look black. And also when it gets wet and gets underwater, it's just not going to capture light. So I've just found that using that white thread underneath the D-rib really just lights it up. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and take and wrap our wee wool, and I'll just go ahead and give it a little bit of a twist first. We're just going to bring it up right through the white gaps. And as I wrap, I'll twist the wee wool. Go ahead and tie that off and trim that out of the fly. And at this point we can go ahead and whip finish our white thread, trim, and start with the black A-dot. We're just going to wrap back to our hook point. Okay. Our next material for the fly is going to be India Henback Natural, and you can also use a brown partridge feather for this as well. But I just kind of prep the feather by trimming out the tip and then pulling back some of the additional fibers at the bottom. Let's just get a nice little V at the top there. What I like to do is to come in, I'm going to take that V and I'm going to put it right, I'm going to put it right in between from underneath. I'm going to press that stem right up against the bottom of the hook shank. I'm going to come in and take my fingers, I'm going to pinch those tips together. And then give a good pinch wrap. I'm just going to go ahead and pull those tips down. A little bit more. Just a little bit more. Alright, I like that. I'm going to go ahead and trim the feather out. And then just clean up a few thread wraps. And what that did is just create a really nice, kind of a unique way and to mount some wing buds on a caddis. Okay. Next material is going to be Ostrich Herl Tan. I'm just going to take and prep that feather, pulling off some of the fibers at the base. I'm just going to mount that in directly on the side of the hook shank and back to that hook point once again. Now we can go ahead and dub our thorax, and for that we're going to use black Peacock Ice Dub. Just going to twist a tight little rope on the thread. Go ahead and dub our thorax. I'll start right behind the bead, work my way back, and then come forward. So I could use it just a touch more. Okay, I like that. And trim out any unwanted fibers. Right, now we're just going to take our ostrich herl and raise it straight in the air. We're going to wet our fingertips and we're going to sweep those little barbules straight back. We're just going to go ahead and wrap this ostrich herl forward. We want to spiral it forward. We're not going to make adjacent wraps because we want to expose that Peacock Ice Dub underneath. So every wrap I'm going to sweep, wrap and sweep, wrap and sweep, go ahead and tie it off. Trim. Okay. Next material on the fly is going to be a partridge feather, which is one of the really nice light gray speckled feathers. And I pull off all the fluff from the stem, and I'm just going to take and straighten the tips of a small bunch and then peel them from the stem. I'm going to put these tips, they'll kind of have a natural curve to them. I'm going to take that natural curve and mount it so it's upside down. I'm going to take these tips and I'm going to put them against the shank of the hook in the rear of the fly. And then I just take my thumb and I press those tips. That's how I'm going to hold those tips there against the rear of the fly. Now you can see I've got the little butt sections hanging out. And I mount this little bit of hackle or these fibers underneath the fly. I'm just going to come up, I'm just going to loosely wrap and capture that directly underneath. It's a good way to tie fibers underneath your fly without having to take the hook out of the vise, turn it upside down, and all that. I'm just going to go ahead and turn the fly to the side now and trim out those butt ends. And usually I'll take my buggy and I'll come in and just kind of pull them down, make sure everything looks good, like that. Okay. Our last material for the fly is going to be Sulky Thread, and this stuff comes kind of white like this with a little pearlescence to it. And then I'll just peel off a little strand of it, color it with a marker, and this one I happen to color kind of like a peacock, which is a straight green marker. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just mount one leg in on one side first. I'm going to wet my herl real quick again just to get it out of the way. Okay, got one in on one side. And then to create the leg on the other side, I'm just going to lift it straight up in the air, come in on the other side, and capture it. And then I can pull both strands back and trim them at the same time. And I like to leave these nice and long. Okay. We can go ahead and whip finish the pattern. And to finish the fly, just a little bit of thin UV. Go ahead and set the resin. And I'll use my scissors to give those last little legs there a kink in the end. It's just a little added feature, just more or less for looks. And a quick brush just to get out any loose fibers or any fibers from the ostrich herl that might have been tied down. There's finished fly. Geez, Wee Pupa.